Hello, amazing viewers! We just wanted to take a moment to express our gratitude to all of you for choosing N.D.P News as your preferred source for the latest updates on international affairs and geopolitical news. Your continued support, tuning in, and suggestions mean the world to us, and we wouldn't have made it this far without you. So, from the bottom of our hearts, we want to say a big thank you to all of our viewers and subscribers. Recent events in China have left many questioning the government's treatment of its citizens, particularly its more outspoken activists and health advisors. The similarities between China's actions and those of Stalin during the Russian Civil War and Great Purge of 1937 are alarming, raising concerns about the future of human rights in the country. During the Russian Civil War, Stalin targeted journalists and opposition figures who dared to speak out against his regime. These individuals were labeled as enemies of the people and subjected to severe punishment, including imprisonment and execution. Similarly, China has been accused of silencing dissenting voices, including activists and health advisors who have spoken out against the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. These individuals have faced harassment, detention, and even disappearance. The Great Purge of 1937 saw Stalin purge the Soviet Union of prominent military and civilian officials. These individuals were accused of being traitors and were subjected to show trials and executions. Similarly, China's government has been accused of using the pandemic as a cover to purge its ranks of officials deemed disloyal. Reports indicate that officials who expressed concerns about the government's handling of the pandemic were removed from their positions, with some facing punishment. The parallels between China's treatment of its citizens and Stalin's brutal attacks are striking. Both regimes have used fear and intimidation to silence dissent, with individuals labeled as enemies of the state and subjected to severe punishment. Moreover, both regimes have sought to control the narrative, using propaganda to portray themselves as righteous and just, while demonizing those who oppose them. Please, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. The Forbidden Truth: The Plight of Chinese Whistleblowers During the Pandemic. Fang Bin, an individual who recorded the initial outbreak of the COVID-19 virus in Wuhan, China, has finally been released from incarceration after 3 long years. Mr. Fang is among the group of what has been dubbed as citizen journalists, who went missing after sharing their experiences via video recordings during the pandemic's peak. He was arrested in February 2020 and secretly sentenced to serve a 3-year jail term after his disappearance. Fortunately, he has been freed and is in excellent health, according to sources. One video in particular captured the world's attention. In the footage, Mr. Fang counted 8 body bags outside a COVID-19 hospital in just 5 minutes. He claimed that he was detained the same night but later released. However, his final video shared the message, "All people revolt," and the power of the government back to the people. Since then, he has not shared any additional recordings. While activists and concerned individuals have welcomed his release, they remain troubled by the fate of another whistleblower, Zhang Zhan. Ms. Zhang, a former lawyer aged 39, was arrested and detained in May 2020, then sentenced to a 4-year jail term in December of the same year. Like Mr. Fang, she was convicted of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, a vague offense that has been used against government critics. The activists believed that this charge was unjust and that it was used by the Chinese government to silence whistleblowers. 2 other citizen reporters, Chen Kuixi and Li Zehua, also disappeared in Wuhan in February 2020. They resurfaced months later, providing rare footage of the situation in Wuhan during the early months of 2020. During this period, cases were surging and lockdowns had been imposed, yet there was little information coming from officials. Wuhan's 76-day lockdown, which would later inspire Chinese zero-COVID strategy, put the city under enormous strain. Ms. Zhang lived in Shanghai, but traveled to Wuhan in February 2020 to report on the outbreak after reading about a resident's experience. Despite local authorities' threats, she continued to share videos on YouTube and Twitter, both of which are banned in mainland China. In an interview, she stated that she was documenting the truth and had a rebellious soul. After her arrest, she began a hunger strike, and at times she was force-fed as her weight dropped to under 40 kilograms, 88 pounds. The Free Zhang Zhang group has reported that it is unclear whether she is still on a hunger strike, and her family is unsure about her current condition. Miss Zhang's brother uploaded photos of a letter she wrote, which was later deleted. In the letter, she expressed her concern for her mother, who had recently undergone surgery and chemotherapy. Mr. Feng's release was sudden and came with no warning, as the Chinese government tries to move past the pandemic. The years of harsh lockdowns and unyielding COVID rules had taken a significant toll on the people, and their abrupt end in late 2022 resulted in a devastating wave of COVID cases. The Orwellian state, China's censorship and control over COVID-19 narrative. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the number of deaths reported in China since the start of the pandemic is 120,000. Shockingly, nearly half of these fatalities were recorded between the 8th of December 2022 and January 12th, 2023. However, these numbers do not accurately represent the true toll of the pandemic. In February, the top leaders of the Chinese Communist Party made a bold claim of a decisive victory over COVID, touting the lowest fatality rate in the world. They even went so far as to call China's COVID exit a miracle. In a new history textbook, the government takes credit for major achievements in coordinating the prevention and control of the pandemic. China's censorship apparatus is swift and effective, which means that videos and accounts shared by whistleblowers like Mr. Feng or Ms. Zhang are likely to fade from memory, if they have not already. Yang Zhonghua, a senior fellow for global health at the Council on Foreign Relations, visited China in March and observed that people there want to move on from the pandemic and leave it in the past. However, he notes that this desire is also driven by the lack of public discussion or debate. Not everyone in Wuhan has forgotten what life was like in early 2020. One 31-year-old resident who wishes to remain anonymous remembers Li Wenliang, a doctor who tried to warn the world about the coronavirus and died after contracting it. Mr. Li was investigated for spreading rumors, although local authorities later apologized to him. This resident frequently talks with friends about the pandemic, although he admits that they may be in the minority. He recalls living with his parents throughout the lockdown, and his mother was so anxious that she would wash her hands so often that they became cracked. The memory of the pandemic is being revised in society, according to this resident. Meanwhile, others like Yang Min, who lost her only child to COVID in January 2020, are still fighting to hold officials accountable and file a lawsuit against the local government. Despite being under surveillance, she says she is not afraid because she has already lost the most precious thing in life. What else can they take away from her? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to check out our other videos on the channel for more great content. Also, let us know in the comments below if there are specific events you would like N.D.P News to cover. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads.